Okay, question. Have you ever seen anything in the sky that you just can't explain? A shape or a sight that you can't quite identify?
Well, it's happened often across South Texas, including one sighting in Eagle Pass. There's a group meeting right here in San Antonio, turning skeptics into part-time scientists, working to debunk the unexplained.
Eyewitness News reporter Aaron Wright takes us into their world.
Travelers from beyond hovering over South Texas. Intelligent life trying to make first contact. Or party balloons stuck in the sky. Here at a San Antonio Luby's, a group of believers works to separate fact from fiction. If all this sounds far-fetched, you're not alone. MUFON investigator Ken Jordan was a skeptic.
There are certain things that I have been involved with or seen that is enough evidence for me to realize that there is something else out there.
A strange object moving low and slow across the sky.
Mutual UFO Network was founded in the 60s with a mission of training civilians to investigate sightings. These days, they're aided by an online database to share info and tech tools to debunk supposed sightings.
If you take 10,000 UFO sightings, probably 95% of them are identifiable. They're not UFOs.
So that means investigators spend a lot of time working with photos and videos that turn out to be hoaxes.
A person called on reporting a crop circle, and I went out to their location at the apartment house, and somebody had taken a lawnmower and cut a circle on the grass. So, you know, it's important that you physically go out to the place where the event has occurred.
But that's part of the deal, using a pseudo-scientific method to break down these accounts of the unexplained.
Here we got two bright lights. They're already causing lens flashes. So when you see bright lights, we suspect, hey, maybe what they're seeing is a lens flash. But in this case, I can see the lens flash and the object that they're talking about in the same frame.
Investigator Ken Jordan put together videos to explain how some of these hoaxes were pulled off.
My response back was to them, next time you see that alien in your window, call the police because you have a peeping Tom.
So why all this work to debunk these encounters? It's to prove that the real thing is really out there.
If you get into a close encounter situation, a true close encounter situation, you know what you saw. There's no doubt.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
There are instances that MUFON can't explain, like this video released by the U.S. government. It's part of the reason investigators will keep working to find out what's really out there.
But the truth is out there, but you're going to have to go and work for it. Or you can come to my meeting every month and we'll help you figure it out.
Aaron Wright, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.